Project management concepts may seem tough at times, but not to worry. You have a coach who makes it as easy as ABC. Here he is to set things straight for you. Your friend Phil.
Hello, my friends, my fellow project managers, my PMPs, my pimps, my CAPMs. I hope you are all doing awesome. And I hope you're enjoying the ride of project management. I hope the ride of the project management day was an enjoyable one. Sometimes as a project manager, you get back from the day's work and it makes you think, my goodness, what kind of life is this? What kind of job is this? Seriously. I mean, if you've never been there, you haven't started managing projects. Because the poor project manager is pulled in all sorts of directions. People think they are valueless. People think PMs do nothing. People think PMs add no value to the firm. And it's a pity when people think like this. But it's the reality of our world as project managers. We are misunderstood. And in a lot of organizations, you might be the dog's body, unfortunately. Well, I just tell you to hang in there and keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully one of these days people will realize your value. But it is your job at the same time to expose people to what exactly project managers do and to keep people in that zone of understanding. I want you to go to PMI's website and do a search for the Pulse of the Profession. The Pulse of the Profession report will enable you see cutting edge information concerning project management. So, Pulse of the Profession. And if you hit that, it comes up with some really valuable documentation. If you click on the Pulse of the Profession for 2018, I'll just read a little bit of the article. It says, since 2013, we've seen a 27% decrease in the amount of money organizations are wasting due to poor project performance. As of this research, 9.9% of every dollar is wasted. Isn't that awful? That 9.9% of every dollar invested is wasted, down from 13.5% in 2013. So it was even worse before. It's getting better, but still, 9.9% is a chunk of change when you're dealing in the billions. Champion organizations, those who complete 80% or more projects on time, on budget, meeting business intent, and having high benefits realization maturity, are continuing to mature their project talent, capabilities, and culture. Because of this, they have higher project success rates, 92% versus 32% for underperformers. So these organizations, the champions, they enjoy more successful business outcomes and they waste significantly less money due to poor project performance. So what this is saying is those champions who complete 80% or more projects on time, on budget, and meet the business intent and have high benefits realization maturity, those folks start off with the right approach to support project delivery. And that takes us to our question today from one of our bosses on this channel who got PMP certified not too long ago. But this friend of ours seems to be looking to amp things up a little bit. So Azali, congrats to you. And I would like to take the liberty now to share some of your great lessons learned. Okay? So let me share some of your great lessons learned, be that you are a boss who has the PMP, the CAPM, the CSM, ITIL, and you got an MBNA. So I doff my hat to you. And let's take a look at some of your lessons learned before we go into your question. All right? So this is a double bonus. If you're getting ready for the PMP exam, my goodness, you're going to cart away a ton of things that Oz is sharing from you. So don't hesitate. Hit like and subscribe. If you are looking forward to hearing Ozzy's lessons, just hit like and subscribe right now before you forget, because these may excite you. All right, so here are Ozzy's tips for PMP exam success. Set a goal. Set a goal week to take the PMP exam, perhaps starting with the CAPM. I love that suggestion. I love it. You know why I love the suggestion? Because I suggest it as well. But do you know what I get from some PMPs? How dare he think I can't pass the PMP by asking me to take the CAPM? Get with the program. Come on. It's a good test run, okay? You get used to Prometric, you get used to the controls, you get used to the interface, and as a bonus, you kick the tires on knowledge areas. Come on. So this is great advice, Oz. And it goes further to say, if you do not yet have the experience, start off with the CAPM, okay? The second point is study 5 hours a day. Honestly, anyone who says study for any amount of time a day, I know those folks have been there. Now, while 5 hours a day to some people may seem too much, for some people it's not enough. Because you got to move volume. You got to move hundreds of hours. Some people have to move 600 hours. Some people have to move 10 hours. You got to move the PMBOK hours to go diastrates on you. You got to move those PMBOK hours, folks. Who's going to move it? Your trainer? You must be joking. You got to move the PMBOK hours. Unfortunately, it's not in color, so I can't put that line in. But anyway, listen to Praizion podcasts frequently. I'll buy that any day. And they're free. Listen to your buddy Phil. Know the 49 processes, not simply from memory, but know why they are there. Fantastic. Know the tools and techniques, groups, more than trying to remember each tool and technique. Fantastic. So do you know what he's talking about? He's talking about page 686 to 693, where you have those big bites of tools and techniques. Data analysis has a catalog of them. Data representation, another dollop of them, and so on and so forth. So know those groups. And this is great advice. Know the groups more than trying to remember each tool and technique, like trying to cram them. Don't cram them. And for the tools and techniques, if I dare say, you might want to go to the Praizion site, because we actually got a tool and technique curriculum that honestly will help you. In fact, it's so helpful, I got to show it to you. I got to show you the tools and techniques turbo. Okay, for people who are taking the exam, go to the Praizion site, look for tools and techniques turbo right there. So if you're having tools and techniques troubles, you want to go subscribe to that. Seriously, it's very low cost and it will really help you for your PMP prep, all right? So I just had to tell you that one really quick before I forgot. Okay, so let's go back to Ozzy's lessons learned here. And the lessons learned continue, all right? Know the tools and techniques groups more than trying to remember each tool and technique. So in other words, don't cram, got to be smart. Know outputs, but make sense of them as opposed to trying to remember them. This is just priceless advice. This is a boss right here, man. A boss. Dropping gold. I don't even need to do any work. All I need to do is read the notes. So Oz, thank you so much for sharing this stuff, because you made my work easier for tonight. All I'm going to do is read your awesome notes and lessons learned. All right, no outputs, but make sense of them as opposed to trying to remember them. Know the inputs to the charter. Most other process inputs are intuitive. Now, this is a good point. Did you know that every process except develop project charter and develop project management plan use the project management plan as an input? And you probably know that a bunch of these processes use project management plan, project documents, EEFs, OPAs. It's comical. I've never seen a PMBOK guy that is so repetitive to the point where you're like, okay, is there any value in knowing the granular information? You know, before, if the scope baseline was the main thing you needed, it would be listed scope baseline, not project management plan. Now, you just dollop the whole thing on project management plan. Could include, but it's not limited to. What does that tell you as a PMP to be? It tells you that the PMI are not going to be splitting hairs like Oz is trying to tell you regarding outputs and inputs, especially at the blanket level, like all of the project management plan or all of the project document level. That's not to say you shouldn't know them, but the PMI isn't going to be splitting hairs. Oh, you said scope statement, but you didn't say WBS dictionary. They ain't going to do that. Know your stuff, but don't focus on the petty stuff. You want to focus on those earth-shattering, earth-moving relationships. For example, some people don't know that risk is an input to cost, and they don't know cost is an input to risk. And they don't know risk is an input to procurement, and they don't know that resources is an input to procurement. And they don't know there are these feedback loops. You need to know these feedback loops, folks, because it's a dynamic exam. It's not like the goofy mock exams out there that you can fool. A lot of people fool in mock exams. You can't fool this one. It has so much redundancy in it, built into it. It's ridiculous. You know, like back when I started training this stuff like pretty hard, getting on the road and all that back in 2009, I was training a company out in South Carolina, Greenville. And this student who was already a PMP was in my class to get PDUs. And she said, Phil, I took my exam on a Friday. I went back, studied, closed the gaps, went back the next week. The process groups that I passed the first time really, really well, I marginally passed them the second time. And the ones I didn't pass the first time, I passed them really, really well the second time. What did that tell you? Bunch of redundancy, folks. Ton of redundancy. So all of that to say, you got to cover all your bases and you got to study smart. All right? Don't cherry pick. So great points from Oz here. So the seventh point, know the inputs to the charter. Most other process inputs are intuitive. And this is Oz's perspective. 8, there were very little EVM questions on my test. Someone says, what a relief. But do you know I've heard the opposite? I had an angry call from a student. I'm so glad I didn't really listen to you because I had almost 15 to 20 unvalued questions. Very angry call from one of the agencies. You might want to tell your students something else. You see, this is why I don't get too prescriptive in saying, well, for your PMP exam, kids, you can expect 10% from earned value and 20% from scheduling, and throw in another 5 from quality and 4 up charts. I don't do that because everyone's exam is different. It is hard to predict the future when it comes to the PMP exam. Very, very hard. You see? So anyway, little earned value. Your test may be different. Just know that. All right? Release stress with meditation, jazz, and Sammy Davis Jr. Obviously, an ardent follower. I would say release stress with Take 6, my favorite group. Oh, and listen to your buddy Phil when he plays some jazz for you live. All right, the final one. A few days before my exam, I played my keyboard and relaxed. As if I knew. He plays a piano and keyboards. That's awesome. When not reading over my notes. Now, I hope you don't mean playing this kind of keyboard, Oz. You need to clarify. You're talking about this kind of keyboard? That would be a problem. That means you're not resting. I know you meant the former. Okay. And yeah, you got to relax. And I tell people this, relax, take some time out. Even though you're studying, you got to balance everything up. You got to balance it up. Okay? So those are the 11 points. Set a goal, study 5 hours a day, listen to the Praizion podcast frequently to keep you in the zone, know the 49, know the tools and techniques, but know the groups, know outputs, but make sense of them as opposed to being a hardcore crammer. Know the inputs to the charter. Most other processes are intuitive. And I dare say that there are some sacred cows of the PMI. You got to know those sacred cows. If it affects the scope baseline, the schedule baseline, the cost baseline, you know it's a sacred cow. You better know those. Earned value, keep your eye on it. My suggestion about earned value is make sure you know that stuff before you go in, just in case what happened to another student happens to you. You might get a boatload of earned value. I missed this one. 9, studying Six Sigma helped significantly with my exam as quality played a big factor. Very, very good. Good point. I had a student, KK, out of Dalton, who was a Six Sigma guru. And we were going through the class items, and she said, this stuff in the PMBOK guide is wrong. I had to let the PMI know, hey, I think you got something wrong. I think you're referring to the Pareto incorrectly as a histogram. And the Six Sigma police, they've impounded my class. I need you to set me free. Help me, PMI. But anyway, that they took that out, and now we don't even have the Pareto in there anymore. That's not to say it's not important, but it's not in the book anymore. There was a lot of confusion about that on the side of a lot of Six Sigma folks. 10, release stress any way you can. And 11, few days before the exam, you better do whatever you need to do. Do your gardening, mow your lawn, wash your car. Some people, it's therapeutic for them. Some people get a kick out of hiking, running, walking, whatever you need to do to release stress, do it. There is nothing worse, folks, than getting into the exam and having an understanding of something, but it's too far back and you cannot bring the thoughts to the front because it's all cloudy. And that's how some people who know this stuff fail this stuff. You know why? Because their RAM is maxed out on other things. Leading up to the exam, they probably did too much. I've seen it happen. Release that stress. Okay, listen to what the man's telling you. Make sure you do it. And with that, it's a convenient place to end this particular episode. But in the next episode, I'm going to be answering Oz's questions because we've actually got a question from Oz that I need to answer. But today was better spent on the lessons learned. I hope you helped. I hope you found them helpful. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to have some time to cover the actual question that Oz had. So Oz, you're probably going to get a kick out of seeing me read your lessons learned and not answer your question. Don't worry. We'll do the question a different day. All right? Thank you once again. And if you've got any questions, send them to the channel, folks. I appreciate you. Bye for now. From me, it's goodbye. And from, do you have anything to say, baby? Let's see if the baby has anything to say. Anything to say? Baby, I don't think they can see you. As white as a sheet. You look petrified. Are you scared of something? No, I just want to go home. All right. Take care, folks. Nice chatting with you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.